Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. This is my gingerbread Christmas mug from Book Babe Designs. I love it. I've got a Jack Frost latte from my local coffee shop, and it's like vanilla, peppermint, and white chocolate or something. It's good. So today's video is going to be my November reading wrap-up. You know how this goes. We're just going to be talking about all of the books that I read in November and giving you some of my thoughts on them. So let's just go. The first book that I read in November is Stolen Midsummer Bride, Court of Midsummer Mayhem by Tara Grace. This was part of my Buzzword book challenge, and I kind of like forgot about that for a couple of months, and I ended up reading them all and I'm caught up except for one that I didn't finish in May. Anyway, I kind of forgot about this, so I kind of read it really quickly. It was very short, but it was pretty cute. It's actually a prequel, and it says it's Stolen Brides of the Fae #3, but because it was a prequel, I thought it was pretty safe, and I think it was. It was just like a pretty quick, cute story. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was cute and it had adventure. I guess the premise is that in this world, the Fae they find their like partner, their mate, through this like festival forest thing. They can do it that way, or they can just straight up go and steal a human. Sounds horrible, right? But anyway, the main character, he works in a library and he's very bookish, and he had his heart broken and hasn't really tried to find anybody since, but realized that him getting married would help him. So he just goes and steals a human bride, and she wanted to be stolen, so it's kind of like an interesting situation because she had her own reasons for wanting to be stolen to save her family. But it was really cute despite how red flaggy that sounds. It was pretty short but amusing, and they kind of have this dynamic where she's more of a farm girl and he's more of an academic. I liked the lightheartedness of the story, even though there were like monsters and baddies to slay. But the point is that he works at a magical library and she's kind of helping him because she's now his wife. And the magical library components were really interesting and fun. Like I think they were bookworms or book dragons, but they were like, I think they called them bookworms, but they looked like tiny dragons or something. Stuff like that. The books that had their own personality, the library itself had a personality. I liked all of those components, and like I said, I gave it 3.5 stars. It was good. The next one that I finished in November is I Want to Trust You, But I Don't. Moving Forward When You're Skeptical of Others, Afraid of What God Will Allow, and Doubtful of Your Own Discernment by Lisa TerKeurst. I've kind of been going through all her books slowly. And this was her newest release, and I was looking forward to it for a while, so I got it read pretty quickly when I got my hands on it. This was good. I don't rate nonfiction books, but this is very helpful if like that kind of scenario sounds like it's something that would be beneficial for you or that you would relate to. I would recommend giving it a shot. It gives a lot of good perspectives and helps you moving forward with trauma, even if it's not something you would like forgiving somebody or whatever. It's just like coping and dealing and then moving past it, or seeing it as something that you can use later to be beneficial, right? So I liked that. And then I read Throne of Secrets, Prince of Sin #2 by Carrie Maniscalco. This is following Gluttony, so that was interesting. It's not the prince I would have chosen, but she does have a way of kind of immersing you in these books and drawing you in so that you do like the characters. It took me a little bit to get into this one, I will say, but I did end up enjoying it, maybe more than the first one. I don't know. I liked the mystery elements a lot, and the ice dragons, that was an interesting component to the story. It was a lot more slow burn than the others in this series, and I liked that. I prefer that. It did feel like there were kind of some loose ends, but that could be to the fact that it's due to like another brother's story being told eventually. So I can't put a lot of stock into that because I think she is continuing this series. I don't know if she's going to write one from every perspective, but at least it's not over. So I understand why she's leaving things unsettled. But I appreciated both Adriana and Gluttony's POV, and overall I did like this, even though I don't think these books are like 100% for me. I still read them and I still enjoy them, and I gave this 3.5 stars. And then back to Lisa TerKeurst, I finished Forgiving What You Can't Forget, Discovering How to Move On, Make Peace with Painful Memories, and Create a Life That's Beautiful Again. It's exactly what it sounds like. I continue to enjoy Lisa's works, and I think she brings a lot of empathy and insight to things that we go through, and also has a way of not dismissing or belittling your feelings. So I really appreciate that about her. And again, if this is something you feel like would be helpful for you, that you're struggling to forgive somebody, and not like because they deserve to be forgiven, but just to be able to let go of that yourself and move past it and not become bitter for your own health and sake. This would be helpful for you potentially. And then I read this because I just kind of discovered it and ended up getting it on Libby, and I loved it. And it was The Bakery Dragon by Devin L. Kurtz. This is a children's book, a children's picture book. So it is very, very short, but it is so precious. I gave it 5 stars. It was so cute. It's such a cute children's book. It's a little dragon who wants his own hoard of gold and finds bread. So cute. Please read it. It's just adorable. If you have time to read it, I would do it. It takes like 2 seconds. I think I literally read it in like 2 minutes. The next one I read was The Only Purple House in Town by Anne Aguirre. I didn't put this on my TBR originally because I forgot about it, but it is part of my buzzword book challenge because for November it had to be the word only. So The Only Purple House in Town. And I had been kind of curious about this before. I did not know at the time, like long ago when I wanted to read it, that it was Fix-It Witches number 4. It didn't really matter. There might have been like some Easter eggs and stuff that I didn't understand, but it doesn't really matter for the story. I think they're all standalones in the same kind of world. But this is kind of a cozy fantasy, and so I was just interested in reading it. This was really cute, and it had a lot of found family vibes, so I think if found family is a trope that you really enjoy, you might like this, especially if you like cozy fantasy or more like contemporary fantasy situations. I like the setting, particularly just in this book, I liked the setting of a fantasy book, but in normal situations, like normal, modern, everyday. Except there are witches and magical beings. I would recommend this for a cozy read. Essentially, the main character is down on her luck and she inherits her, I think it's her great aunt's house. I don't think it's her grandmother. I think it's her great aunt's house. And it's this big purple monstrosity. It's like just an old house and it's purple. And people hate that it's purple. Well, some of the neighbors hate that it's purple, but she likes it because the aunt was kind of eccentric. And she goes to this house and kind of starts to try to fix it up, but she doesn't have money. And so she starts renting out rooms of the house to make ends meet and meets a lot of fun people along the way, and they become a little found family. And one of the people that rents a room is actually a guy that met her in like middle school and has kind of like carried a flame for her all these years, but never told her. And so it's just kind of this like interesting dynamic that's going on. But it's cute, cozy. Would recommend if you want to just a cozy, lighthearted, simple kind of read. And then I've already talked about this book in previous videos that I've put up, and I don't know where my copy is at the moment, which is a little bit concerning, but I read Welcome to Fae Cafe by Jennifer Crope. I absolutely adored this book, as I've said in my previous videos. 5-star read. It's book 1 in the High Court of the Coffee Bean series, and I'm so excited to continue that series in December. Because I've talked about it a few times, I don't necessarily want to harp on this a whole lot in this video, but I loved this. It's a cozy fantasy, but also adventurous and has a lot of adventurous elements. It was hilarious. It was heartwarming. It had some exciting moments. The characters are so lovable, and I really adored the antics that they get into in the human realm, like not knowing how to interact with the human realm, having no idea what anything is. It was so funny. It also has some tense moments because the whole plot of the book is that the main character, Kate, breaks a Fae law, and this prince and his band of assassins are sent to kill her. And so he's like, I will go kill this feeble human. And then they just keep getting thwarted and don't know how to interact with the human world and don't know what anything is. And it's just wonderful. There's fairy magic, there's trickery. It's just such a fun and fast story. I loved it so much and devoured it. There's also a little bit of a romance. I laughed out loud at the oatmeal raisin cookie scene. So if you've read it or if you do read it, just know I thought it was hilarious. Loved it, 5 stars. Will 100% recommend. Fantastic. So good. And the last book that I read in November was The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, which was a monster of a time. It was a 45-hour audiobook. I was able to listen to it at a higher speed, so that helped me a lot, but that is a chunker. I was so scared. So scared. And I have a lot of thoughts, okay? Here's my issue, okay? Let's start with my issues. I feel like this book could have been about half as long as it was and still had the same effect. Still told the same story. So much of the plot felt irrelevant to me. I found myself bored at times. Kaladin's story, I really like Kaladin, but Kaladin's story really dragged on for a long time. And even though I liked him as a character, it still felt like it was dragging on and kind of slow. And on the flip side of that, I don't really like Shallan's character very much, but I felt like her storyline was way more interesting. But I feel like she didn't have as much time on the page as the other characters. And I have found that in a lot of Sanderson's world building, and I say a lot as in when I read the first Mistborn book and this book, I did not feel this way with Tress of the Emerald Sea, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. It's not like I'm saying I've read everything he's ever written. But with his world building, he does not give you a lot of answers or connect the dots for you. And that is something that really bothers me. You have to like look it up outside of the book. And I don't do that because I feel like I shouldn't have to. I feel like if you're gonna give me a world in a book, I shouldn't have to look up a Wikipedia page to know what you're talking about. So that really frustrates me, and it's really hard to look stuff up and not be spoiled. So, and I guess there's stuff in the back of the book you can reference, but I'm listening to this on audiobook, and I don't feel like I should have to teach myself. I feel like the author should show me or tell me or do something, you know? This isn't a test, it's entertainment. So that really bugs me, and it makes me, because of that, it makes me not retain a lot of the information given to me because I don't see the point and I don't see why it matters and I don't see why I should care. And there's no context for any of it. So I just, like, how am I gonna remember that or retain it? So I don't think you should have to look to other resources to understand. And so that really bothers me. And it's been kind of a barrier between me and Sanderson with some of his books that I've read. So I don't know if that's going to continue to be a problem, but it does bug me. That being said, there were parts of the story that I really liked and that I enjoyed. The beginning with the assassination attempt was really interesting. I was pretty hooked with that. I found it really cool. And I said this already with Shallan, but I found like a lot of the characters that I did like had the least amount of story time or just not as much. But I think this book is mostly set up, and I hope book 2 is better or has more going on. The magic system is really interesting from what I know so far, and I liked the shards, the shard plate, the shard blades. I do like that, but I just feel like you're not given a lot of info, so I'm hoping more of it develops in the next book. And I don't know when I'm going to get to it because I can't get to it right away. It's just so long. And I know Wind and Truth just came out, but I just cannot force myself to read all of them right now. I liked it enough to continue, but I don't understand the hype yet. Maybe I'll get there, but I just don't know if I appreciate Sanderson's world building right now. Maybe I will later when he's like connecting more dots and giving you more reveals, but we will see. As for now, I gave this 3.5 stars. Those are all of the books that I read in November. Overall, it was a pretty good month, but I am looking forward to just delving into so many festive reads in December. Please comment down below and let me know your thoughts on any of these books I read or what your favorite read of November was. But for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.